History isn't just about wars, treaties, and conquests. It's also about passion, betrayal, and forbidden love. Some affairs didn't just spark gossip. They shattered dynasties, toppled empires, and rewrote history. What happens when desire collides with power? When love becomes more dangerous than war? From a queen who seduced the most powerful rulers of her time to a king who abandoned his throne for love, these aren't just romantic tales. They are scandals that shook the foundations of entire nations. Some led to revolutions, others to assassinations, and a few even changed the course of world history forever. In this video, we'll uncover the most shocking love affairs that altered empires. From secret royal romances to reckless infatuations that cost kingdoms, each story is a reminder that sometimes love is the most dangerous weapon of all. And it all begins with a king who was willing to risk his entire kingdom for the woman he loved. Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn. Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn. Power, obsession, and betrayal. Few love affairs in history have been as destructive as that of Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn. What started as a king's infatuation turned into a scandal that changed England forever. Henry VIII, a man known for his ruthless ambition, was already married to Catherine of Aragon when he became captivated by Anne Boleyn. Unlike other women at court, Anne refused to be just another mistress. She wanted the crown. And Henry, blinded by desire, was willing to tear apart his kingdom to give it to her. When the Pope refused to annul Henry's marriage, the king did the unthinkable. He broke away from the Catholic Church, declared himself the supreme head of the Church of England, and married Anne in secret. The move sent shockwaves across Europe, triggering a religious and political crisis that reshaped England's future. But passion burns fast, and soon Henry's love turned to resentment. Anne, once the most powerful woman in England, failed to produce a male heir, and her enemies at court grew stronger. In a brutal twist of fate, the woman who had risked everything to be queen was accused of adultery and treason. In 1536, after a sham trial, Anne Boleyn was beheaded, just 3 years after winning the crown. Her death wasn't just the end of a love affair, it was a turning point in history. Henry's obsession with Anne led to the birth of the Church of England, the destruction of monasteries, and the execution of anyone who opposed him. One affair, one woman, and one king's reckless passion changed the course of an entire empire. Napoleon and Josephine. When Napoleon Bonaparte met Josephine de Beauharnais, he was a rising military officer and she was a glamorous widow with powerful connections. Their love story was passionate, obsessive, and ultimately doomed. Yet it shaped the course of European history. Napoleon fell for Josephine almost instantly. She was 6 years older, experienced in courtly intrigue, and knew how to captivate men. Despite her past affairs and debts, Napoleon was madly in love. He wrote her letters filled with obsession, calling her his adorable Josephine, and begging for her love. But while he was away on military campaigns, Josephine was rumored to be unfaithful. When he found out, his devotion turned to anger, and their relationship became a battlefield of its own. Even as Napoleon crowned himself Emperor of France, Josephine stood beside him, becoming the most powerful woman in Europe. But there was one thing she couldn't give him: an heir. After years of trying, Napoleon made the painful decision to divorce Josephine, despite still loving her. He needed a wife who could secure his dynasty. Their separation didn't end their bond. Napoleon never stopped loving Josephine, even after marrying another woman. On his deathbed in exile, his final words were whispered with longing: France, the army, the head of the army, Josephine. Their love was a mix of passion, betrayal, and political ambition. Josephine's influence helped Napoleon rise, and her absence left a void he could never fill. Their story wasn't just a romance, it was a turning point in the fate of an empire. King Edward VIII, and Wallis Simpson. When King Edward VIII met Wallis Simpson, he wasn't just a monarch, he was the ruler of an empire stretching across the world. But for the love of one woman, he would throw it all away. Wallis was an American socialite, twice divorced, and completely unacceptable as a queen by British standards. Yet Edward was infatuated. He lavished her with gifts, flaunted their relationship in public, and defied royal traditions. The British government, the church, and even his own family warned him, choosing Wallis meant losing the throne. But Edward was unwavering. In 1936, less than a year into his reign, he made an unprecedented decision. He abdicated the throne to marry the woman he loved. His speech to the nation was simple, yet shocking. He couldn't rule without the help and support of the woman I love. With those words, he became the first British king to willingly step down. Edward and Wallis married and spent the rest of their lives in exile, mingling with Europe's elite but forever outsiders to the royal family. Some saw their love story as a romantic sacrifice. Others believed Edward had been reckless, weakening the monarchy. One thing is certain, this was a love affair that didn't just change one man's life. It altered the course of British history, paving the way for a new kind of monarchy and proving that even kings are not immune to the power of love. Rasputin and the Russian royal family. In the final years of the Russian Empire, one man's influence over the royal family would ignite scandals, fuel conspiracies, and hasten the downfall of a dynasty. That man was Grigory Rasputin, a Siberian mystic whose connection with Empress Alexandra and the Romanov family became one of history's most controversial relationships. Rasputin was a wandering holy man, rumored to have supernatural healing powers. When Tsar Nicholas II and Empress Alexandra's only son, Alexei, was born with hemophilia, a deadly disease at the time, no doctor could help him. But Rasputin could. Whenever Alexei suffered internal bleeding, Rasputin would pray over him, and miraculously, the boy would recover. This cemented his place in the royal court, and Alexandra, convinced he was sent by God, became fiercely devoted to him. But Rasputin was more than just a healer. He was a man of excess. His reputation for wild parties, drunken escapades, and rumored affairs with noblewomen, even the Empress herself, made him a target of scandal. While there is no solid proof that he and Alexandra were lovers, their deep emotional bond and her absolute trust in him fueled endless speculation. The Russian elite despised his influence, believing he controlled the royal family from the shadows. As World War I ravaged Russia and the people suffered, Rasputin's hold over the Empress made him a symbol of corruption and weakness. In 1916, a group of nobles decided he had to go. They poisoned him, shot him, and finally drowned him in a frozen river. But his death did little to save the empire. Within a year, the Romanov dynasty collapsed, and Nicholas II was overthrown. Rasputin's relationship with the royal family remains one of history's greatest scandals. Whether he was a manipulative fraud or a misunderstood mystic, one thing is certain. His influence helped bring down an empire. Princess Diana and Dodi Fayed. By the summer of 1997, Princess Diana had already shaken the British monarchy to its core. Divorced from Prince Charles, she was no longer bound by royal expectations, and for the first time in years, she seemed free. Then came Dodi Fayed, the billionaire playboy who would become her last and most controversial love. Dodi, the son of Egyptian business tycoon Mohammed al-Fayed, had a reputation for wealth, glamour, and high-profile relationships. But when he and Diana were photographed together on a luxurious yacht in the Mediterranean, the world went into a frenzy. The British press dissected every detail: the secret rendezvous, the lavish gifts, the stolen kisses. Was it true love, or was Diana making a statement to the royal family? For Diana, the relationship was more than just a summer fling. After years of being controlled by royal protocols, she was finally with a man who adored her on her terms. But their romance wasn't just tabloid gossip. It carried deep political and cultural implications. A British princess in love with a Muslim man? To some, it was a scandal that threatened the very image of the monarchy. Conspiracy theories exploded, speculating whether the royal family disapproved, whether they feared the idea of Diana having a child with Dodi. Then, on August 31st, 1997, everything came to a tragic end. In the early hours of the morning, Diana and Dodi's car crashed in a Paris tunnel, killing them both. The world mourned, and suspicions only grew. Was it an accident, or was there something more sinister at play? Decades later, questions still remain. Diana and Dodi's love story was brief, but unforgettable. It wasn't just a romance. It was a rebellion against tradition, a defiance of royal expectations, and a relationship that, even in death, left the world questioning what really happened. Conclusion. Throughout history, love has been more than just an affair of the heart. It has been a force powerful enough to shake empires, topple dynasties, and rewrite history. From Henry VIII's obsession with Anne Boleyn, which tore England away from the Catholic Church, to Edward VIII's abdication for Wallis Simpson, proving that even a king was not above love's demands. Napoleon and Josephine's fiery romance, Rasputin's scandalous influence over the Russian royal family, and Diana and Dodi's controversial relationship, all of these affairs left lasting marks on the world. What makes these love stories so unforgettable isn't just the passion or the scandal, it's the consequences. These weren't just fleeting romances, they changed the course of history, altered political landscapes, and in some cases, led to the downfall of entire ruling houses. They remind us that love, when entangled with power, can be just as dangerous as it is intoxicating. In the end, these affairs prove one undeniable truth. No matter how powerful, no leader, emperor, or royal is immune to the chaos that love can bring. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let us know in the comments which historical scandal shocked you the most.